Welcome everyone to episode 49 of the Golden Squeeze podcast. We are almost halfway to the century mark. Chris Sale, only number 49 worth talking about. Jamie Moyer, Tim Wakefield, rest in peace. 49, not the most popular number, but still, we got a couple guys there. We're going to start off number 49, talking about The Rock versus Cody. And this has been a talked about segment this past week, mainly because of how bad it was. Let me take that back, of how confusing it was. It didn't really make any sense, and it was bad. No, it's bad. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Rock, in his old age, has learned to ramble like no other. He just talks. He just likes hearing himself talk at this point, which, if you're not doing the hits, finally, The Rock is back, or if you smell what The Rock is cooking, if you're not hitting all the hits and you're just rambling, nobody wants to hear that. You don't have any new stuff. We like your old stuff. We like you because of nostalgia, not because of who you are right now. So what did you think of the Cody versus Rock segment?
I love the announcement of back in New Orleans. I may have to attend that.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. I thought they had been in New Orleans more times than they had. And I think I even touched on that last week as a regular rotation. This will only be the third time it is there, but
that's almost 10%.
Yeah. So, but this will be the first time, without a doubt. This will be the first time, though, it's 2 nights. So that should be a great city to have that in. Well, first of all, I do not think, at least not this year, I don't think it's going to be Cody versus The Rock. I think Cody is going to turn down The Rock's offer, and somebody is going to wrestle on Rock's behalf who will do his bidding for him.
Who's going to do his bidding for him?
I believe it's going to be John Cena. I think the seeds were planted for a heel turn, because until the post-Rumble press conference, everything was about, I want to earn this spot, I want to earn this, earn this, earn that, and then it turned into, I'm entering myself into the Elimination Chamber, I've earned this with the amount of work I've put in for all of these years, and I it's the main event, the company needs me to do this and all that. I think the seeds are planted for it. And it could be CM Punk, but I just think it would make more sense if it could make sense both ways. Him selling his soul to get the WrestleMania main event, or in this case, since it's Cena's last hurrah, it could be Cena doing it to get number 17. Or we could see both. We could see Cena doing The Rock's bidding on the way out the door, and we could see Punk cashing in his favor and getting put in a triple threat match.
So you're saying that it could be Punk, Cena, and Rhodes?
Yes.
Whew. Okay. Punk, Cena, Rhodes. 3 40-plus men going at it at a WrestleMania main event.
But the thing is, though, and I think in terms of length of a match, do you mind looking up how long the Roman Cena main event was at SummerSlam? Because I think that's Cena's last great match that he had. Now, I know he hasn't had many since then, but I just don't know if the main event of WrestleMania could be him one-on-one.
22 minutes, 59 seconds.
Okay, but that was
the longest match on that card.
Okay, let's see. But that was in 2021. Okay, so we're 4 years removed from that. I don't think he can do that right now.
I don't know. He's looking slim. He could have gotten that way with a bunch of cardio. He's a freak.
Anyways, all that to say, just the way the tag team match did to help The Rock go the length he did last year, I think it would boost the quality of the main event if you had 3 guys capable of working together to just feed off of each other.
It would boost the quality of the main event if that's what the main event is.
Yes. I'm just saying, I think either one is going to sell tickets. Not that I don't think they'll need that in Vegas. They've done a good job of art. They've been publicizing it, and I think just the location in and of itself. I think everything, they're not going to have any problems filling that place, I don't think.
Well,
but in terms of like a quality, whether it's Cena versus Rhodes one-on-one, or okay, let's say it's Punk Rhodes one-on-one. But I think ideally with it known it's his last WrestleMania, ideally you would want Cena in the main event. But I think for lack of in-ring time over the past several years, I think it would help if it was a triple threat.
Okay. Need that to be my main event, but if it is, I'll enjoy it, I'm sure.
Well, I don't need it to either, but whether we like it or not, Cody's going to be the last match on one of the nights.
I don't know that. I don't know that Cody's going to be my champion going to WrestleMania.
Stop it.
He might lose it at next week's Saturday Night Main Event. I don't know. Who knows? Cody's likely to be the champion. What pay-per-views do we have between now and
we
then?
don't.
Elimination
Chamber. Elimination Chamber.
When's
That's
Money
it.
in the Bank?
July? What?
We already had Money in the Bank. We already had that. Tiffy won it. Who has the men's briefcase? Now I'm drawing a blank.
It was Drew, remember?
And then what happened? Oh, then you immediately lost it.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I had to think back in the Wayback Machine to 4 or 5 months ago. But WrestleMania it's later than it normally is this year.
It's Easter weekend.
Yeah, so it's the 19th and 20th.
Mm-hmm.
So there's really nothing between the first and the. There's got to be something.
No, I don't think so. Not for. They have it. They have NXT Roadblock.
All right, then he loses his title of Roadblock.
No, NXT Roadblock.
Yeah, I heard you.
Jeez.
He's on a pay-per-view that's worthy of him. NXT Roadblock.
And we will get to NXT Roadblock because some of the matches they just announced for that, it's must watch. And I'm already questioning why some of these matches are not being saved for Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
Especially 2 of them. But anyways, we'll get to that. So what are your thoughts? What do you think they're going to do with Rock and Cody?
Dude, you're right. According to this, did they make a conscious effort to have less pay-per-views in 2025?
Well, they always do one a month.
Right, but it's normally like middle of the month, not beginning, end. That's essentially 2 months with no pay-per-view. But putting that aside for a second, I'm looking at this pay-per-view schedule. It goes...
Oh, wait, no. So that means there wasn't... Was there one?
The Rumble was in February this year, and it's normally in January. What was in January?
Maybe they're counting as a special event, the Saturday night main event.
They are.
Well, then I guess
I'm looking at this, and there's a main event in May, and then there's a main event in July, and then there's SummerSlam. They had to have made a decision here because...
Well, that would kind of go in line. I don't know if you've noticed, man, there's no live events like there used to be in previous. It's always Raw. If you go to their tickets, Raw, SmackDown, the PLE Saturday Night Main Event, because they usually come here annually, around where I'm at. At some point, it's usually something on the weekend, not a Raw or SmackDown, but usually every year they come around here. And when I went to go see, with the exception of some of the European dates coming up.
Yeah.
But beyond that, stateside, there's nothing besides the television taping shows for live events.
Yeah.
They've cut down dramatically.
I'm looking at this, and I don't even know if I noticed, but other than Saturday night main events, the pay-per-view before the Royal Rumble was Survivor Series. And I don't think I noticed that. And other than Saturday night main event, it goes WrestleMania, SummerSlam.
No. They probably just haven't announced a location yet. Money in the Bank is before SummerSlam. Always is. And they're not getting...
But they should have a date. Do they really wait this long? There's a Clash in Paris on August 31. SummerSlam's August 2 and August 3. Saturday Night Main Event in May. Saturday Night Main Event in July. So I guess they're going to put Money in the Bank in June, I guess.
Okay, let's see. November, December, January, February. Actually, man, no, that's about right. Because I don't think they announced Elimination Chamber in Canada until Cena announced that he was going to be there at Survivor Series.
Okay.
So yeah, I think sometimes it is.
Last year, Money in the Bank was July 6th, but they also had Clash at the Castle. They had the King and Queen of the Ring in Jeddah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'm sure they're going to have those, and they just haven't announced dates yet. Okay,
what about Backlash? You tell me that they don't even have Backlash done yet? Backlash is normally the one that comes right after WrestleMania, and right now there's a Saturday night. We're just getting rid of Backlash.
They don't need Backlash.
I'm not saying they need it, but they've had it and it's gone. I guess is what I'm trying to say. It is what it is. That's an ultimate tangent right there. But be that as it may, segment stunk. It didn't flow. It just went on too long. The Rock is so verbose at this point in time in his career. He needs to be more pithy and just shorten things. I can't. It was a 21-minute segment where nothing was said.
I did love when he went from nice rock to called him STD having trailer park trash, and then you could see some of the drunk guys in the crowd like boo, holding their beers and giving them thumbs down. I was like, oh, that was
told
good.
The one guy he was going to slap the syphilis off his face. Yeah. Well, we'll see how The Rock plays into this. I might be all rocked out. That segment was a lot of rock, and it wasn't good rock.
Seth helped it. Did you see Raw yet?
Yeah.
Seth's interaction with Cody kind of tied into the whole promo thing, and Seth, that segment did a good job, and making it make a little more sense, whether that was planned all along or just trying to get...
It wasn't planned. It was, we messed up. We gotta make it make sense. Which is fine. They do it a lot. I get it.
Yeah, and again, I definitely didn't like how all this started last year, and the finished product ended up good. And I am hoping that will be the case this year. And if it ends with The Rock getting stunned by Stone Cold, who indicated that he would like to be there this year.
He did?
Yes, because he said, well, next year it's in Nevada, and talking about he'd like to be there.
He never says that.
And he said something along those lines about, and indicating that it was definitely more of a possibility than this last year. And I think he will have been fully recovered from whatever the procedure he just recently had. And based on when he was saying he would be ready to race again, I think he would be good for something like that, if my math is correct. So,
okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. A rocky start to the road to WrestleMania, but I think that all of this can change when we head into Elimination Chamber coming up this weekend. The match, I don't know how I feel about the men's Elimination Chamber match with it's John Cena, CM Punk, Damian Priest, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and Logan Paul. Now, there's some good talent in there.
Yes.
We have old CM Punk, old John Cena. Logan Paul's the youngest by far. We talked last week about the issue that they have with they need a youth movement when we're talking about the Royal Rumble and the amount of elderly people that were in the Royal Rumble. There's a lot of elderly people in this match too. I mean, Seth Rollins, and Drew McIntyre, we already talked, they're going to be 40 next year. Damian Priest, CM Punk, and John Cena are already in their 40s. So we've got 90% of the match are guys 40 or older, or going to be 40 or older next year. And that's too old for me. And the only person who's under 35 is non-wrestler Logan Paul. And that's taking nothing away from Logan Paul. It is what it is. So there's some people who we know just aren't going to win. Logan Paul is not going to win. Damian Priest is not going to win.
Drew is not going.
Drew's not going to win. I don't think that Seth Rollins is going to win. But I'm not going to say no. But I don't think Seth Rollins is going to win. So it's really going to be CM Punk or John Cena. And which one's it going to be? You think it's going to be John Cena. I think it's going to be CM Punk, I think. We'll see what happens. But this could be a good match. I don't know what John Cena can do in an Elimination Chamber match at his age and his body fragility. He just doesn't look the same. I just don't think he can do much. I don't think that he's going to add much to this match. I think it's going to be a lot of him being in a corner like at WrestleMania.
You mean Royal Rumble?
Royal Rumble, yeah.
Ideally, I would like the first two in the match to be him and Punk.
It can't happen though.
Yes, it can.
Not if one of them is going to win. He's not going to. He can't last that long.
No, once, and then they can do like you said, being in the corner. Once the first pod opens and that guy comes and starts cleaning house, they can let him sit in the corner for a while.
I think Cena and Punk are going to come out last. I think they're coming out last. I don't think they're coming out first.
Because I was very surprised at the lack of an interaction they had at the Rumble. I figured there'd be some sort of let the fans go nuts with them staring down. I was very surprised that didn't happen.
Well, there's 6 guys, and theoretically, they say there's 5 minutes in between each person coming in. So if they come,
which means a minute.
But going off of their math, and again, I'm not saying I said theoretically, that's 30 minutes for them to be wrestling at least, and then the finale is normally like another 10, 15 once the last guys come out, 15 minutes after that. So that's 45 minutes right there. I don't know if he's got the gas tank, but we'll see. There's ways around it. Like we talked about, there's ways around it, but we'll see.
But usually Elimination Chamber, aside from it sets the other championship match in stone for Mania, it usually starts another Mania feud, if not a couple. And I'm just wondering if they're going to go with Drew versus Priest at Mania. Because at first I was thinking it may be Priest and Fatu. But now all signs are pointing to Fatu versus Solo. And which I'm fine with that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, what they were saying, there was supposed to be something at the Rumble with, I think, and that was part of why McIntyre was supposedly frustrated because of how he got eliminated as opposed to how it was supposed to go. But I think it was supposed to be the beginning of a feud with him and Priest, supposedly. And so I could see that'd be a good match, a good revisit with hopefully no shenanigans, no interference, and just straight up winner.
Yeah.
And I think it will also set up Logan Paul's match at Mania, but he's already fought Rollins at Mania, so we can scratch that off. So that would leave either Cena or Punk. And initially I was thinking it's going to be Cena versus Paul at Mania until this stuff with Rock. And now I don't think that's the case at all. I think that the one, like I said earlier, I think the one that's going to do the Rock's bidding is going to be Cena.
There's also not stopping anybody from breaking into the cage and starting a feud with Logan Paul.
But who would that be? And especially something like that would be more place for a heel to do that, like what Logan Paul did to. Did he do that to Orton or to Rollins? Who did he do that to?
At Chamber last year?
Or was it last year?
Or 2 years ago?
Before? Who was it? Was it last year?
I don't remember. Wasn't LA Knight?
No, remember? Wasn't it AJ Styles that went in and got LA Knight?
Yeah.
1 year. Anyways, I don't know. This whole thing with Rock has kind of made me second guess a lot of stuff because that just was really unexpected when they announced the day before he was going to be there. And like I said, just even the wording of it, Rock is not fighting.
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
And which makes sense because, I think he's got a couple of big movie projects coming up soon. And I'm thinking that's why at least this go around, he's going to just have somebody do it in his place.
Okay. That's fair. I mean, we're going to see what's going to happen. But there should be an interesting men's Elimination Chamber match, but we also got the women's Elimination Chamber match with Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, and Liv Morgan.
Hey, real quick. So who are you picking to win the men's?
I'm picking CM Punk.
Okay, I'm picking Cena. All right.
Yeah.
And I was picking Punk until the Rock segment.
Yeah.
Anyways, so on
Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Bayley, Naomi, Roxanne Perez, Liv Morgan. Roxanne Perez is not going to win. Naomi is not going to win. I feel like Liv Morgan's not going to win, and I don't think Bayley's going to win. It's Alexa or Bianca to me.
It's not Alexa, it's Bianca. And
her pop was undeniable.
And I did not know if I read correctly. I don't think Bianca and Mommy have ever fought.
I don't believe that. But that would be a heck of a match if they haven't.
Yes. And if that's the case, that's a no-brainer.
If they've never fought, then yes, but I'm still going to go with Alexa Bliss.
Okay.
I just can't deny the pop that she got at Royal Rumble. Fans love her.
But it also
goes against what I say. It's not believable. She can't beat Ripley.
But there's some, I was thinking that based on the Royal Rumble and Liv eliminating Alexa, that could potentially set that up, and they're both going to be in the chamber. But with Liv and Raquel getting the women's tag titles, I don't know if Liv will be wrestling a singles match in Mania.
Yeah.
Because if that hadn't happened, I would go ahead and say Liv versus Alexa, with more seeds for that getting planted on Saturday. But with them winning the titles back, I don't know how they're going to do that. Granted, they could have Liv pull double duty, like do a tag match on one day and then singles.
There's too much talent on the roster to have a person like Liv doing double duty, in my opinion.
Yeah, but I mean, that'd be something though that if they did that, Alexa would still be, they would still probably have a clear face heel role there. But again, I was not expecting that title change on Monday.
Yeah.
So
I looked it up. They have wrestled each other. They just not in the main roster.
Oh, so in NXT?
NXT.
Okay.
They wrestled each other. But if they haven't wrestled in the main roster, then it probably is going to be Bianca Belair. But I will be contrarian, and I'll say Alexa Bliss. And I think that it could be a situation where Alexa Bliss wasn't the original plan, but they've seen how much the crowd clearly still loves her. And what they've been doing recently is giving the fans what they want when it comes from a crowd perspective. So I'm going to stick with Alexa Bliss. And I'm sure that even if I'm right, you will be happy.
Indeed.
Even though you're picking Bianca Belair.
Yeah.
But the match, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and also I think if it's not on Friday SmackDown, that at Elimination Chamber was when we'll probably find out that Naomi is the one who attacked Jade.
Yeah, probably.
That'll be how that splits up. That'll have Naomi, Jade, Mania, and then that'll free up Bianca to do the singles match. And I think in the seeds, and another reason I think Bianca's going to win is the fact that they did just drop the titles the week before the Chamber. I think that, and that video clip of Liv and Raquel walking away is clearly a red herring. We all know that it was not. They're not going to have it be them.
I think them dropping the titles is the biggest hint
sure.
of them all. But yeah. Okay. Well, next up we got Tiffy and Trishi versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. They're not going to have Trish Stratus lose in Canada at Elimination Chamber. It's just not going to happen.
No, the only thing I don't like about this, I would have liked to have seen Tiffy, and maybe they'll do it on SmackDown. But I wanted to see, before the match against Charlotte, I wanted to see Tiffy get a clean win against Nia before WrestleMania.
Why?
Because just the way they did that with her turning on her, getting the title, and that always, when you have a story that was going on like that for months, I think it needs a definitive ending. When they did it, the other day. It was interference and all that crap, and I thought they were going to have the blow off match at Elimination Chamber. So now, granted, I mean they've been the women's title's been defended multiple times on SmackDown here of late, so I could definitely see them doing that, and I just hope hopefully they'll do it with no interference and just let her get a clean win going into WrestleMania.
WrestleMania, yeah. We'll see. But there's only one more match in the card, and that is Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. And an unsanctioned match. The unsanctioned match. They can't sanction it. Who's going to win this?
Sammy with help from Randy Orton. And then Mania is going to be Orton versus KO.
I think Kevin Owens wins, and I think that he struggles with putting Sami Zayn away, and then he has a big show moment and goes from heel to babyface, and that's how that ends. He leaves that arena as a babyface, I think.
I could
never mind. Sami Zayn's Canadian. I take it back. I take it all back. I agree with you.
They're both Canadian.
Never mind. I take it all back. Kevin Owens, you're right. They're both Canadian. I forgot again.
But I could see KO winning and Randy Orton coming back on SmackDown and starting the feud then. It could go either way, but I think fans everywhere love Randy Orton. So I could see like or there could be this. KO could win and then continue to keep pummeling him, and then before he does the pile driver thing again, Randy Orton's music hits.
Yeah.
So there's multiple ways they could do it, but yeah, I'm gonna go with. I think I like that better. I think KO wins, but Randy Orton comes out to prevent further damage to Sammy.
Okay, that's good.
I'm gonna go with that.
Well, that's
the
card.
That's the card. Okay. Why did I think is Intercontinental title? It's not on there.
Not from what I see.
Okay.
There's still a SmackDown to make it happen.
Okay, now maybe that's on Monday Night Raw. It's going to be defended. But
yeah, I don't see anything showing that it's defended on whatever the event is, Elimination Chamber. So,
yeah, that makes sense because each chamber match is going to be at least 45 minutes, probably.
An hour. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not an hour. It's not Rumble long. Yeah, 45 minutes. 45 minutes. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it could be.
But that's 45 unsanctioned match, 30-ish commercials and breaks. Tiffy, Trishy, 25. So 25, 25, 45, 45. So that's 50, hour 30, 220. Commercials, 15, 235. That's not a bad runtime.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
That's good.
Oh, and Rock versus Cody segment.
Well, no. That's going to be on SmackDown.
It's SmackDown in Canada as well?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Because SmackDown is Chelsea Green. Who's Chelsea? Chelsea's defending the women's North American title.
Yeah.
Who's she defending it against?
No clue.
Nick Aldis hadn't told her yet. I believe. I don't think she has. I don't think she has an opponent yet.
All right. That's Lita.
Is Lita out there? Is she Canadian too?
I don't know. But regardless, it doesn't matter. It's Lita. If you want someone who's going to get a huge pop.
No, well, of course.
Could be Nikki Bella. I'm actually going to say Nikki Bella.
That could have unintended consequences.
It always does.
I could see Chelsea getting more cheers than Nikki in that match.
I don't think the WWE understands that, though. So they think that people like Nikki Bella, which is fine, but they don't. So it is what it is. She reminds everybody of a diva, and we don't like divas. The IWC does not like divas anymore. So she'll get booed, and then they'll trot her out there in a couple months again. She signed a contract, right?
I think so.
Yeah, she signed a contract.
Then again, I could be wrong. I thought Jordan Grace signed a contract to be on Raw or SmackDown, and she is apparently going to be on NXT for a while. So I was wrong about that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's got to be a big name that they think is going to get a big pop. That's all I know.
Yeah, or
could be Rock, could be an NXT person,
or could it be Asuka?
Could be Becky.
Nah, no, not. I could now. Granted, I don't think Asuka has any business fighting for a mid card title, but out of the two, I think it would be Asuka going for a mid card title over Becky. And Becky's not coming back on SmackDown either. That ain't happening.
Why? Queen's on SmackDown. Or what's the Queen on? Is she on SmackDown?
SmackDown.
Then you're probably right. What's Ripley on? Raw?
Raw.
Probably not. But there's no reason why she can't bring prestige to that belt. They could use her for that purpose.
Becky?
Yeah.
Well, yes, but I don't see it happening though. I'm not arguing that point, but
yeah, I don't think it's gonna be Becky.
I don't think that's going to happen. So, something I just thought of, though, speaking of Becky, you think there's any chance they reveal before the Women's Chamber that it was Naomi who attacked Jade, which ends up leading to Jade dismantling Naomi and there being a spot to fill, and Becky takes that spot?
No.
Okay.
Tell you why. Becky's not.
What does that have to do with anything? She doesn't have to win.
But she can't be in the same match anymore. You know, the Triple H rule.
Wait, what?
Who are you talking about? Who are you talking about? Bianca?
No, I'm talking about if it's revealed that Naomi is the one and Jade pummels Naomi prior to, and then there's a spot.
Jade has to have a black teammate. It's going to be Jada Parker.
What do you mean a teammate? No, the tag run is over. They dropped the belts, so it's not like Jade has the thing to come back into. No, I think.
Wait, so what do you want Becky's role to be? I mean, I'm not understanding.
No, I'm curious. Do you think that it gets revealed who it was before the Chamber, and somehow, whether it be by Jade's hand or someone else's, that Naomi is unable to compete?
Okay.
Which frees the Chamber spot.
Gotcha. Okay. It could. That sounds like WWE booking. I read something earlier today. They don't have anything for Becky right now, which is why she hasn't been back. They're trying to find something good for her. Is she going to come back and lose, though? Do we want to see Becky versus Ripley?
I don't. I'd rather see Bianca.
So would I.
I would much rather see that.
I have no desire, actually, to see Becky versus Ripley. Zero.
But
I'll watch Becky versus Alexa, and then she could be in it. They start a feud there, and then Bianca win.
Or Becky versus Liv, because remember Becky lost the title to Liv and then lost the cage match, which was her last match, to Liv. So she gets a clean win over Liv at Mania.
That could be it too.
That could be a good one. Granted, that wouldn't need to be set up at Chamber either, but that's just a possibility.
A natural connection but yeah, that could work. The good news is that we are only 2 days away from finding out what their plan is. Is this a Saturday pay-per-view or a Sunday pay-per-view?
I believe it's a Saturday.
Okay. So for Saturday, March 1st, then, in Toronto, it's shaping up to be a good one. It is going to pretty much set up the other main event in WrestleMania.
Yep.
Or the other starter.
We get to talk about, which I guess will be my segment because you haven't been watching it, some NXT news. And I am very curious as to some of the decisions they are making here of late. They have an upcoming NXT Roadblock event, which I believe is in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And it's at Madison Square Garden.
Uh-huh. It's on March 11th.
Okay, is that in 2 weeks? Is that 2 weeks from this coming Tuesday?
March.
That's 1 week.
That's
1 week from this coming Tuesday.
Yeah, so it's 12 days from today.
Okay, so next week they've got some good matches on just the regular show. Next week they got the Don versus Shawn Spears, which that'll be a good wrestling match. Say what you want about the direction of Spears and his crew. He's always guaranteed to give you a good match, and it's for the Don's title. And then you've got Jada versus Kalani. That should be a good match. and I can't remember what other ones they've got planned. Roadblock.
Yeah, I'm looking at this card here.
Dude.
It's only 3 matches so far, it looks like. But they're good ones.
And there was a whole article about it, but I thought it as soon as I saw them in the ring the other night. They're doing on a Tuesday night event. Now granted, I know it's at the Garden. I get that. Julia versus Vakir should be at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
It's
Stand and Deliver's in April. It could be.
Jordan Grace is going to be in there somewhere. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to be this Tuesday, so I think another Roadblock match because Jordan Grace came in the ring and cut a promo and Roxanne interrupted her. Roxanne reminded her that she beat Jordan Grace when they fought last time. And then another one, especially since they're working with each other in this cross-promotional thing, they've got Moose versus Oba.
I saw that, yeah.
And
I just want to point out, Black versus Black. Just saying.
Yes.
But I'm fine with it.
Oh, no.
This
is one, we've discussed this on here before.
Yeah.
That like Booker T said, no bread, no water, just meat, and I am looking forward to that. But it also begs the question. Oh, and then Fraxium versus the Hardys.
Yep, for the TNA Tag Championships.
And Moose versus Oba is for Oba's belt, and Stephanie versus
Julia is for
both belts.
Yeah, winner take all.
And when I saw that at first, I was like, that should be at Stand and Deliver. But if I'm thinking Roxanne will lose and Jordan's going to win. I'm wondering my early prediction for Stand and Deliver. It's going to be a fatal 4-way. Jordan Grace is going to win. Roxanne, Julia, and Stephanie will all be on the main roster the following week.
The following week?
Yes.
No.
They can, dude, those three cannot stay on NXT anymore.
Oh, okay. Now you're saying at Stand and Deliver the following. Wait, are you saying the Raw after WrestleMania? Or you're saying
Raw after WrestleMania and the SmackDown? Those three need to be on those shows. They cannot
say the three again.
Roxanne, Stephanie, and Julia.
So I think the loser of the match on the 11th, I don't think we see that person again until the Raw after WrestleMania. I think that they're on ice until then. And then we see them again.
There's no way, dude. They're both way too popular to not be at Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, but if they're not at Stand and Deliver, their pop's going to be huge when they come out for the first time at the Raw after WrestleMania. And they've had a Raw after WrestleMania problem these past 3 years. It's been terrible. Raw after WrestleMania. They could all
still be at Stand and Deliver and then still be at Raw or SmackDown.
But it's bigger if they're not there, I think.
I just don't see a world that Julia or Stephanie back here is not at Stand and Deliver. I don't see that.
Okay.
But they are Stephanie, Julia, and Jordan Grace. They should have completely bypassed NXT.
I agree.
But the fact is, and I mean, there's no arguing, I don't think, in terms of women's wrestling, that is the best roster of any organization. Top to bottom. And I think that's where I think they're purposely going to keep doing that. Like if they have these women come from other entities, they're going to have them stop in NXT.
When you say top to bottom, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like compared to the WWE main roster? Or you mean SmackDown versus Raw?
Yes, SmackDown, Raw, AEW, TNA. I think just the collective group of women's wrestlers is the best, is the most talented roster to roster on NXT.
I need to see where Becky goes, and then I would need to write it down. They're deep, don't get me wrong, but man, there's a lot of good women on the main roster.
And I'm not saying there's not. It's just, and then even so just good, looking...
It's so if NXT didn't exist, WWE would have a problem. I'll just say they would have too much talent. They do have a problem. They have too much talent. They've stockpiled talent, and there's nowhere for them to grow. It's like they're all in a company where the ceiling is here, but they're here. Once they all get moved to the main roster, they can't all succeed. It's impossible.
Yeah, and I think, but something else I wanted to point out too. This past week, Stephanie Valkyrie's match was against Carmen Petrovich. And you know how I feel about that stupid sword in that intro.
You like it a lot.
I'll tell you what I do like a lot now. Carmen Petrovich has improved leaps and bounds since the first time I saw her compete.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I think she has a martial arts background, so we all knew she was athletic and all that stuff, but just wrestling moves and stuff like that. And then same with the
American. I was gonna say Sydney Zamel. What's her name on TV?
No.
With Otis. I was gonna say she's gotten better in my opinion.
Well, yeah. Now I'm talking about NXT though, and then you've got in Fatal Influence. Fallon Henley is uber talented. I love JC Jane.
Yeah.
And Jasmine Nix has improved every time because when I first saw her, I was like, okay, I know why she paired them with those two, especially with Fallon Henley, but I was concerned. But her
never
wrestling
be on the main roster.
Fallon Henley, I think Fallon Henley without a doubt could.
No.
But and we've talked about this with her.
These other girls aren't going anywhere. There's just no space. I'm not saying she's not good enough. I'm just saying there's not enough space. You can only have so many people in the main event scene, and the women's non-main event scene doesn't get enough attention for her to be successful. I know they're trying with these secondary belts. We'll see how the Intercontinental and the Women's Intercontinental and the Women's U.S. Championship, we'll see how this goes.
If done right, I think they can.
But they're not going to do it right.
I know, but they completely dropped the ball with Blair Davenport. God, that woman is talented.
But it's not even just Blair Davenport.
I know.
Even like Lyra Valkyria and all these other women.
Valkyria, they have hope, but if they keep having her beat another fan favorite like Dakota Kai, they're going to turn on her. She is very talented, and it's just...
But yeah, they just points that they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing if they're not in the main event scene. They just don't. And even there, they're fine there. I'm not going to criticize them on how they treat their main event women. But if the women is not in the main event, they don't do them right. Never have. There's never been I don't remember a good mid-card women's storyline. You know, when we were growing up, the mid-card storylines were fun. Val Venus, Gold Dust, like those things, Choppy Pee Pee, like those things were fun. Nation of Domination, even the Nation of Domination, like The Rock was. That wasn't a main event thing originally. It might have become one.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
But the stuff they used to do where they would dress up as Owen and be like the Nugget and things like that that was fun stuff. They can't do that with a woman. I don't know why, because they have the talent, but they just can't do it.
I just don't. They're going to have to figure something out, especially with Julia back here and Jordan Grace.
But they have main event talent. They don't need to be in the mid card.
But
People like Sol Ruka though. Sol Ruka will never be a main card person.
I disagree.
She won't.
She one of the key things you need, she has.
You need more than one thing.
I get that. But again, I think she just needs to be polished more. But I am not ready to say that. Now, granted, there's some nights in the ring where she will have a fantastic match, and then others where there will be multiple errors and whatnot. But
can't happen.
I know, I agree. But it's like you look at that great match, in my opinion, like depends on who you ask, but the match with her versus Kalani, like that was a fantastic match with two green wrestlers that both did a fantastic job. Yeah. And so I think my point is, yes, I know there's definitely room for improvement, but it's there. She's capable. And the fact that she has such a cool finisher, that puts her a step ahead of a lot of people.
It does. The thing I will say to that is, how often does a person get better? Like, to the point where name me a wrestler where you didn't like instantly say, "Oh, that person's gonna be good," but then that person became good. I see it in Roxanne Perez. Like, I see it in Julia. I see it in Stephanie Valkyr.
I've got a bad feeling they're going to fumble Roxanne on the main roster.
Well, no, they are, because she's too small. She's tiny. She's even smaller than Liv.
Now, granted, they are positioning her for. They've been giving her an ample amount of television time on the main shows already.
They want her to be someone. I mean, there's
Yes.
people she can feud with who are in the main event scene. She can feud with Liv. She can feud with Alexa Bliss. She can feud with Becky. She can feud with, I don't know. She can't feud with Rhea Ripley. She can't feud with Charlotte Flair. She can't feud with Tiffany Stratton, in my opinion. I just don't think that she can't feud with Nia Jax. She can't feud with I don't know, Piper Niven. She can't feud with, these girls are too big. She can't feud with Bianca.
But fans still eat that David versus Goliath shit up.
But she's like David's son or daughter. Like, she's even smaller than David. Like, she's so tiny. She is smaller than Liv Morgan, right? I'm not just making that up.
That I don't know.
I feel like she is. I feel like she's even smaller than Liv. I have a tough time believing a lot of Liv stuff too. I have a tough time believing Alexa Bliss, but there's something about her, just her ring presence, where it makes me kind of believe. I don't know. I like Roxanne Perez. I just don't. And I think that she has everything. She just doesn't have the size. They'll make it work. They'll find something for her to make it believable. I just don't think that she can be a babyface. I think she has to be a heel to win. I don't think she could believably win as a babyface.
Yeah. Well,
because she would have to do it legitimately, and I just don't think it can happen.
And she's another one too. She's got a cool finishing move.
Yeah.
But with that said, going back to what we said about the David versus Goliath thing, you've seen how reliant that move is on the other person, because they both have to flip, and just how. And dude, there have been a few close calls I've seen with that move. And I mean, when your head's that close to the ground and you're doing a flip, I mean, granted, may not be anything catastrophic, but it could definitely hurt.
Definitely hurt. Give you a concussion or something.
That being said, do you think they could pull that off with Nia?
No.
And that could be a problem.
Yeah.
Because that like looking at it like, hey, these are two that, and I'm saying like right now, if Roxanne was babyface, that's a ready-made David versus Goliath scenario right there. But if your finishing moves out of play, that puts a hamper on things.
Yeah. I think they'll make it work, but she's gonna have a tough road. She's gonna have a tough road because of her size, and they'll find a solution, because I'm saying all I want. Becky is rail thin. She's a stick figure, and she is one of the most popular women on the roster. So,
yes.
And Liv just had a multi-month run, and Alexa's a previous champ, not current champ, obviously, but she's been champ before, so they can make it work. And again, she has all the tools. She's just undersized, and I just hope that they have her beat the right people, because I've told you numerous times I just have a tough time believing some of these women would ever lose a match.
And this is Roxanne we're talking about now, right?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, man, we'll see. It's gonna be interesting, but I'm trying to think, because you brought up an interesting point earlier about who have I seen that's just gotten better.
Better to the point where they went from okay to okay, we can put this person in the main. Like I'm like the.
In terms of moveset and the way they were presented, now I'm not saying it's what this wrestler was capable of at the time, but you could always tell, and I'm just going back from memory, you could always tell how talented The Undertaker was when he was first presented. But he was more of like your
first
typical
presented in WWE.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. More presented as your like plotting, like just zombie, like, undead character. But then over time, I think he was presented. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? Like, but I don't know if that was indicative of like him getting better as he was working with more talent, or if that was just like Vince saying, hey, these are the moves I want you to go. I mean, he was definitely athletic because the height he was getting on some of these moves, walking the ropes and all that stuff for a guy his size is always very impressive. But in terms of him doing more stuff and some of the matches, and when you started working with Shawn Michaels, when some of that stuff was getting, I mean, the supernatural stuff was always there. But when they started to shed some of that a little bit more, and it was become more of a all around, showing his all around wrestling ability.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in terms of presentation, like I liked it as it progressed more as his career kept going.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's probably not what you're referring to. You're probably talking about raw talent.
Yeah. Yeah. But you could also see the way that they presented The Undertaker in the beginning, but I guess they presented Roxanne pretty well throughout her entire run here. But
I love her as a heel more than when she was a babyface.
Yeah, but I guess that argument was more with Sol Ruca. I
think she's still so very young, and but again, like I think I would have never initially thought when I first saw Carmen Petrovich. Yes, you could tell she was athletic, but I did not think, I was like, I just don't see this working.
Yeah,
but after seeing her the other night and some of her more recent matches, I'm like, okay, she's getting it, and she's good, and that may be why she is still around on Tuesday nights. And some of these athletic college girls they got, like Carly Bright, and some of them are not on Tuesday nights anymore.
Yeah,
and so, but I think too, with that roster, that women's roster being so young, I think there is room for improvement. Even I always loved Jada when she was first out, but Jada's gets better and better. I think Jada's going to succeed too. Like, I don't like the new entry music. Why they had a song that the fans got into and was catchy. Why you would ever take that away from somebody, I have absolutely no idea. But I definitely think there's women on NXT that can definitely continue to improve.
And I think they can continue to improve. I just don't think they can continue to improve to the point where we're talking about them being at the the high end of the card in the main roster. But you never know. I hope I'm wrong. I want everyone to succeed.
I do too, but I definitely agree with you about there's a lot to be desired so far for the presentation of the newly established women's mid-card title.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, because you're absolutely right. Only so many people at a time can be going for the two belts. So they're going to have to do something, because I just don't think some of those women in NXT should be on NXT much longer. Some of them should have never even gone to NXT.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
But I think some of that is they may want to go there first.
Yeah.
Like, hey, and maybe that's why, because they know they're not going to get stuck floundering, and they're going to be
on television, growing their brand, getting their goodwill with the WWE community. I mean, there's pluses to it. There's pluses to it. I don't know. All I know is that it's a good problem to have. Oh, I have too much talent. Yeah, that's first world problem. So, I mean, it is a very good brand.
And if they're not already on the WWE shop by now, those Stephanie Vakir's horns will be on a lot of little girls at WWE shows very soon.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But
that's and the more I thought about, like, why are they having some of these matches at Roadblock? I understand the TNA ones. Why though? I think Stand and Deliver should be NXT exclusive talent. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But I'm already curious as to who will be challenging Oba at Stand and Deliver. Is it going to be Trick again? And is Trick going to win and get the title again? And Oba goes to the main roster, which should be happening.
Oh, so you're implying that Moose is going to lose on the 11th?
Yes. Because it's for Oba's belt. Yes. If it was for Moose's, the X Division title, I would say there'd be shenanigans and Moose would get the pin.
Maybe there still will be shenanigans. Maybe on Tuesday they'll announce it'll be belt versus belt and have 2 belt versus belt winner take all matches.
Could be.
Probably not.
Could be. But I don't think in the ones with the TNA ones coming over, especially the Moose one, I don't see there not being shenanigans.
Yeah.
I don't see Moose taking a clean loss. I don't see Oba taking a clean loss. Now, I guess the same could be said for the Hardys versus Fraxium. But I could also see the Hardys being like, hey, let's put these guys over.
Yeah.
Because they're at that point in their career, which I don't think they would think twice about doing it. And
they would definitely do it.
But the only thing is, if it was for the NXT titles, but that's the wrinkle, though. It's not. It's for the TNA ones.
TNA title, yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. That's a toss-up for me. But, and dude, at what point are they going to call Fraxium up? They have to, don't they?
When they start caring again about the men's tag team division?
Well.
So never?
I know I would love to see them versus DIY, them versus Motor City Machine Guns, them versus the Street Profits.
They don't care enough to do it. It's not happening anytime soon. Until they make a conscious decision to try to rebuild that division and give it some prestige, they can stay in NXT. Do you really want them up? What are they going to do? If they come up, you don't get to see them wrestle again. Let them continue to wrestle. Let them continue to put on good matches until Triple H decides, you know what? Wrestling is better with a good tag team division. And when he says that, then call him up so we can actually have some good matches.
Yeah, because it's going to be different not seeing them on NXT because just the way the crowd gets into their matches is something special.
Yeah. What they need to do is put the tag belts on a team that's not a tag team. And I hate to say it, they need to get 2 main guys, a la like Drew and Seth. I know that would never happen, but they need like a rated RKO or something like that. They need something that's not these small guys. They need people with it which have cachet, where their names have cachet. They win the titles, are not real tag teams, and then use those guys to help build other tag teams. That's what I think they need to do. We need 2 dominant guys to be a tag team. They used to do that all the time. Like Shawn Michaels and Triple H, they give them the belts, or The Rock and Mankind, The Rock and Sock Connection, they get the belts.
Taker and Kane.
Yeah, Taker and Kane, they're the Brothers of the Destruction. What happened to that? And I'm not even saying that that's even the best idea, but that does help develop other tag teams if done right, or at least it helps showcase other tag teams. It would make the belts relevant. What if Roman and Solo were the tag team champions, or something, or like Roman and Jimmy were the tag team champions? Do you know how relevant those tag titles would be?
Yeah.
They need to do something like that. They used to do it all the time.
I know this isn't going to happen, but because I think there's big plans on the horizon for Jacob Fatu. But I think if they would have, I think they definitely could have done that with Solo and Fat Jacob.
Yeah. Can't now, but yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. They can't now, but yeah, I think that would have worked. But instead, now it looks like we're going to get Carmelo Hayes and The Miz as a tag team.
Yeah, and not going to...
That was a cool finisher combo that they had, I got to say. That was pretty cool. I don't know if you saw it.
They'd be a good tag team.
It was cool. They did it was the skull-crushing finale into the Code Breaker. It was the skull-crushing finale into the first 48. It was pretty cool. I was like, okay, that was neat. I like that.
And I'm sure they'd be an entertaining tag team.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the point. That's not the point. Yeah. The point is, what are they going to do to make people want to watch the tag division? And I don't think that The Miz and Carmelo can do that. And I'm not even talking like any fan. Like if I'm a casual fan, I'm watching Elimination Chamber because Logan Paul's in it. Am I really going to want to watch Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY? It might be a good match, but I don't know who those people are. Get some names out there that the people know.
Why don't you think smaller size guys are as successful on the main roster when they're super successful on NXT? Since we brought up Carmelo Hayes.
It's a different type of fan.
because I gotta say, I guarantee a year ago they never thought their number one draft pick when they did the draft for Friday Night SmackDown would
Yeah,
end up
Carmelo
being in a
Hayes.
tag team with The Miz
Yeah,
less than a year later. I mean, it's just crazy to me.
What is Vince like? What did Vince like?
But
He liked the big, beefy guys.
right.
Why did Vince like the big, beefy guys? Because he knows the fans like the big, beefy guys. Who did we grow up liking? Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, the big, beefy guys. You like, like Undertaker, like guys like that. Those are the big, strong men.
But when you had the smaller guys in there, it seemed like they, and I know there's exceptions to it, but I don't understand.
The fan that watches NXT
Sometimes
is
I
a
don't
hardcore
understand.
fan because it's trash, and that they're the only ones who can actually watch it.
Stop it.
The in-ring product is fine, but everything outside of it is trash. Let me take that back. The in-ring product is good. The stuff around it is trash. The storylines are fine, but they can't talk down there. There's nobody down there except for maybe like Ethan Page, who I care to even listen to speak. And that's an important part of the main roster. So the fans who are down there, they're just true wrestling aficionados who just love wrestling and don't care about talking. They don't care about, I think that an NXT fan cares less about the entertainment aspect of wrestling, whereas the WWE SmackDown Raw fan cares about the entertainment aspect. So one cares about wrestling, one cares about entertainment. And it's not the same fan. Obviously there's cross sections that like both, like yourself. And I don't mind NXT. I like NXT is good. They put on great pay-per-views. They used to put on the best pay-per-views. I prefer the black and gold. It's just tougher for me watching the non-black and gold.
But I think overall though, like for match quality, they're still like up there. There may be one like that's, but like even look at last year. Even the Stand and Deliver last year. Like now, granted, I just think it was too short. It wasn't that it was a bad match, but like with the exception of it was a good cherry on top of the feud with Carmelo and Trick's hometown. But and it was a cool moment, all those fans there cheering him. But I thought that was my least favorite match from a wrestling standpoint, was that one.
Yeah.
But I mean, just when you look at that triple threat that kicked it off, Oba versus Briggs versus Dijak, that was incredible.
Yeah.
And just some of the other matches in there were just absolutely fantastic.
I think the black and gold, I think the wrestling now is on par with what used to happen in the black and gold. It just feels as if though that the wrestlers presented themselves better in the black and gold era of things. I think the storylines were more engaging and there was more depth to the storylines. It went from top to bottom, where I just don't know if they have that anymore. They could talk. I feel like those people could talk. Kevin Owens could talk. Sami Zayn.
Yeah, and then when like Drew came back, Bobby Roode had the look and just and when he came back, and who else? And then you had like
Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Becky, Charlotte, all these people, Bailey, Bianca, Ripley, Asuka. I mean, they all had an aura to them. They had an aura to them.
And then, but
they
just
all look like adults.
Stuff
I feel like a lot of these guys look like kids.
But the stuff like Gargano and Ciampa, I thought that stuff would lead into like the same type of popularity on the main card.
But they don't have the same presentation. Look at the stuff that they have Gargano and Ciampa even wearing. Like what they're wearing, what they're doing. You remember when Ciampa would come out with no entrance music? Like that was compelling. That was oh, that's different. He's a badass. Even though he's small, they never made him look small. Like that is true. They make him look small on the main roster. It's like it's jarring.
Yes,
it's just jarring. But I did think that they'd be better, but on the main roster, and obviously they're still top tier wrestlers. But they're just not presented the same way. They're just not doing the same stuff. They're not edgy. Their gear is terrible. That matters. That matters more in the main roster. Gear's important. It's not as important in NXT. You can get away with wearing anything, but in the main roster, that's just important to draw the crowd in. Yeah, I'm just sticking with the reason why the reason why the fans treat them differently is one's an entertainment fan, one's a wrestling fan, and there's a big difference between those two. And there's some who like both, but there's just so many more people that it's going to be segmented more, and it's not going to be. They want that entertainment. They want those. You're not getting an 18-minute talking segment like The Rock gave on NXT. I mean, you're not. It's just not going to be that long. And there's people who like that, and right. But we're accustomed to 18, 19-minute talking segments. It's just a lot of times they're good, and that one just wasn't. So
see, and that I think that me watching NXT more and more and more over the years makes me like those talking, regardless of how good they are, makes me like those talking segments on Raw and SmackDown less.
Yeah, because you're getting your body adjusted to liking wrestling more as opposed to liking the entertainment more. The more you watch NXT, it's just going to happen.
And it's like, hey, I always get a kick out of a CM Punk promo, but I'd rather see CM Punk wrestle. Like with, let's do a 5-minute promo.
Yeah.
And, but it always seems to, I don't know if you've seen the episode of South Park where they kind of talk about that, where they're trying to be wrestlers and like the whole time when they're in the backyard, it's them on the microphone.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's accurate. But on the flip side of that, some of the talking segments on NXT are unwatchable.
Right. No matter how bad you may not like a talking segment on the main roster, it is not compared to a bad talking segment on NXT. Not
but
the same.
there, when you've got guys like Ethan Page, I can listen to a 10-minute Ethan Page segment. I can do
and that is why Ethan Page has the potential to succeed in the main roster when his time comes.
Yes.
I'm not saying he will, but he has the tools to succeed. Carmelo, I told you in the beginning, I never thought Carmelo was going to succeed because he's too small and he can't talk. I'm not going to say he can't talk.
I was going to say I don't agree with that part, but I thought he would.
What happened when he got his opportunity against LA Knight to talk? He's flubbing his lines. LA Knight was mopping the floor with him, calling him out on saying things wrong. He choked.
Yeah.
He hasn't been the same since that. That might even be the reason why he's not getting the push that we thought he might get as the number one pick, because he was flubbing his lines against LA Knight.
I don't think the interest is there with the fans. As talented as he is, I just don't think it's there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was definitely wrong on that. I think I was in denial because just looking back on it historically, especially this day and age, a lot of, like you say, these, and I say undersized, these guys are probably my height, but when you're 6 foot, 6'1", and you're in there with guys
5'4", get out of here.
6'6", 6'8" guys, some of that, I guess I thought that just the raw God-given talent would overcome,
5'10".
Okay, would overcome some of that.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then even what you were talking about earlier with the big guys we grew up watching, but me and you still loved watching Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and guys like that.
Bret Hart's still 220. These guys these days, the small guys are like 180. It feels like Bret Hart still had some beef to him. And don't forget, when Shawn Michaels was in the Rockers, he was beefy.
Oh, for sure.
He leaned out once the steroids. Once the steroid era ended.
They used steroids back then?
I heard a rumor. So let's not pretend like Shawn Michaels was ever as small as a guy like Carmelo Hayes. He might not have been that tall, but he still was a muscular, big dude.
But compared to the guys that Vince was trotting out at the time is what I'm talking about.
Shawn Michaels, though, was kind of an anomaly at that time. For him to break,
so was
Bret Hart. Yeah, they were the exception, not the norm.
Even wait a second, how? Well, no, he was pretty jacked up. I was gonna, I'm not even gonna say that because I'll get.
What are you gonna say? Stone Cold?
No. But even him compared to some of the other ones, like just
Stone Cold still had like the traps
well, yeah, but and he just had that
and his presence.
that anti-hero, that whole thing. Yeah, that
he acted like he was 7 feet tall, and I believed. If you told me he was 7 feet tall, I would have told you, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, 7'1" maybe. But
yeah, I think you're right. Like a lot of it has to do with so much on the presence. And I really thought that Carmelo Anthony with that arrogant heel,
Carmelo Hayes.
Gosh, I keep doing that. The Carmelo Hayes with that arrogant heel, thinks he's better than everybody else, but I thought that would translate into success. And I don't know why it hasn't, if it was fan reaction or if it's booking, because like especially that series he had with Andrade was very well received. Great wrestling in front of hot crowds watching the matches.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. I don't want to say it's on him because he's the character he had on NXT is the same here.
Gotta learn how to adjust. If it's not working, if the same character that you had in NXT that worked, it's not working in the main roster.
But
adjust.
Who is that?
I mean, probably on the writing team. They probably don't give him the freedom to adjust, if I had to guess. But if he comes to them with a good idea, I find it hard to believe that Triple H isn't listening.
I still think he's got the character and the delusions of being the greatest and all that. I think that is a character that is a ready-made, wrapped with a bow character to have a heel, to be that type of heel carrying the Money in the Bank briefcase.
He needs to see his opportunities then. He had his opportunity. He did not flourish, and then they moved on. Had he had a better performance against LA Knight in his backstage segments, I think that we might be talking about Carmelo Hayes differently. I honestly do. I honestly think that him messing up backstage affected his push. It's a no-nonsense company. Unless you're like a guy that looks like Roman Reigns, they're not going to wait for you. You get your chance, you fail, okay. You succeed, we'll see. But, Matt, maybe I'm off base, maybe I'm wrong. He's still young. He's got time. But you know who doesn't have time? Us. That's going to wrap up episode 49 of the Golden Squeeze podcast. If you like what you heard, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and we will see you next time on the Golden Squeeze podcast. Snap into a golden squeeze.
The absurdity is getting worse.